13 fun projects. Welcome to M.A.G.I.E Art, my very first art challenge. I hope you're going to join me and I hope you're going to have a heap of fun. During the month you might learn some new techniques, or you might reacquaint yourself with some that you've forgotten about, and we just want to have a lot of fun, throw it all at the page, create something that is uniquely you in your art journal. Hello and welcome back to day 2 of my M.A.G.I.E Art Challenge. So the prompt for today is family, vintage, history or old times. Now, you just do whatever you want to do, but what I'm doing is, I think it's a little bit just like a collage page more than anything, although I do use some, it's definitely mixed media. But anyway, what I'm going to start with is adding a couple of layers of this book page to this paper. So I want to stiffen it up a bit. So my main creation is going on this left side where the book page is, and then I'm just going to add something in on the other side to sort of tie in with that prompt. So I've got one layer of paper down so far, and I'm going to add another layer on top, and I'm using matte gel medium to glue those papers on, and then once I've finished I'll just trim it off to the size that I want it. So it's grocery bag on the left hand side, and it is a fashion shop bag on the right hand side. Now if you don't know what M.A.G.I.E Art Challenge, my mixed media art challenge is all about, in the description box of my video there is a link to a document that you can print off for yourself, as well as the prompts are there. And I do hope that you will join in the fun and just let your hair down and have some fun with paint and other mediums. And once I've got my second layer of paper onto that page, I'm going to cover it in clear gesso, just to make sure that there's a nice ground for everything else that's going to go on top. So I'll be using some inks in this particular project, so I do like to have the gesso, the clear gesso, to seal all the stuff in underneath and keep it nice and dry. I find this rubber wedge, it's a catalyst wedge, is really good for spreading this sort of thing around. So if you want a really thin layer, this is the little tool that you need, something like or something like it. It's a bit like a spatula, I guess. So I'm just going to roughly cover everything in white gesso, and on that right hand page I just want to cover those words, the part of the words that you can see there, the ANS and the AU, and just leave the dots there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on that side yet, so I just want to leave it plain, and it does have that coating of clear gesso. So if you did the first project, which was star sign, and you've tagged me and I haven't responded, can you let me know, because I might have missed something. Just let me know in the comments. So the purpose of this little challenge that I'm hosting is just to play in May, basically. Just to have a lot of fun and do some stuff that you might not have done for a while or is new to you, and just throw whatever you like at your paper or your whatever it is you're painting on. So I've never done an art challenge of my own before. I've taken part, or let me rephrase it, I have done the Junk Journal July challenge. I've done acrylic April back in 2020. Um, so I suppose that's an art challenge, but it's a little bit different to this. And what else have I done? I've done Defemerember and then a couple of odd ones along the line. And I just thought, I know they have Messy May, that Meg from Meg Journals does Messy May. And I just wanted to do something for myself. And if anybody else wants to join in, that's wonderful. But I'm not trying to, you know, do anything special. I'm just doing something that I want to share with other people that might be interested in doing this as well. So I've now got some distress inks, and I have gone around the edge of the page with vintage photo, and now I've got what is it called, frayed burlap, and I'm just doing a little bit of stenciling around the corners. It's one of my favourite stencils, and it's just like a cheap one from Temu. That's pretty much the only stencils I buy are from Temu, because I can't afford the really good ones. The same with the stamps that I use. They're just cheap ones, like they might cost a couple of dollars or something. So, which you end up spending more because you've got to order a certain amount for them to send you the order. Anyway, I like them. So the next thing I added in was some really old music paper, sheet music I should say. I like the colour of this one, that has a nice tone to it. So I'll pop that in there, along with some other papers from old books, and there's one of them's got some foreign language on it, looks maybe German or something like that. The next thing I did was to use that same stencil and just put a little bit of texture paste on. So I'll put that on and then I'll dry that texture paste. So I've got all my papers down and I've got the texture paste on there. And what I'm doing with this gesso is just melding the pieces of paper together. So going over the joins with the gesso sort of disguises where the joins are and makes everything a bit cohesive, and it also pushes everything into the background a little bit. And what I've got here is some coffee that I just keep in this little plastic container. I'll leave it sitting on my desk and it dries to a solid in like a block of coffee in the bottom of the container. And then when I want to use it, I just spray a bit of water on it and it reactivates. So I'm adding some of that to this page. I want to really get it grungy and old looking. Trying to make it look like it's been sitting around for years, collecting dust, and people have been looking at it and putting their coffee cups down on it, or that sort of thing, you know, like it's just been exposed to the atmosphere. Because I'm going to put a focal point in the middle of it, which you'll see a bit later on. So what I'm doing here is I've just put down this absorbent piece of, well, it's actually a puppy training pad. I use them to absorb paint and runny things when I'm doing my art. Now I'm adding some acrylic ink, and the colour is called Muted Turquoise. It's by Liquitex. I love the way this looks against the brown of the coffee and the inks, the other inks. And I'm just watering that down and letting it run down the page. I will add more, and it sort of has a tendency to gather in the grooves between the texture paste. So it gives a nice outline to the raised part of the texture paste that was pushed through the stencil. My focal point for this is going to be a picture out of my book that I love. It's full of old movie star photographs. It's called The Image Makers, and yeah, there's some beautiful, beautiful old photos. So this one is from 1917, and the lady's name is Marion Davies. So she's actually looking at a book, but it looks like she's looking over to the other page, so that works well for me. I've just roughed up the edges. I'll ink around those edges and then glue down those folded bits. I just want it to look, you know, like it's been around for a while. And I've just got a couple of papers there that I'm going to put underneath. I haven't really made up my mind exactly how I'm going to arrange them. But that paper on the right hand side there with the handwriting on it, that is actually an original letter, or it's like a meeting, what do they call it? Minutes of a meeting from 1926 or something like that. And it's just been sitting there. I didn't want to use it because I thought it was just too good to use, but you know, what's the point of doing that? You might as well just use the stuff, eh? It's just builds up and builds up if you don't, and use it, put it on show. Got these little paper flowers. I thought I'd grunge them up a bit and just glue them along the side of the image. So add some gesso to begin with, and then I put some coffee on them. And I'll just splatter a little bit more coffee around, and then I put a drop of that turquoise ink up in the top right hand corner, and then spread it around with a paintbrush just to balance out the page a little bit. Accidentally dropped some there, so I thought, oh, make it look like it was meant to be there. Got my watercolor paints here. These are the metallic ones. Thought I'd add some gold splashes on there, and then went around the edge of the page with the gold. Didn't think it was dark enough, so then I used the bronzy colour, or coppery colour I should say, and went over it. And then I add some white splashes of the sloppy gesso mix that I've got for that. I just keep this mixed, especially for making these splashes, and I do like frame the focal point with it. Now for the other side of the page, I decided to put an array of images that look like old photos. Some of them actually are old photos. I'm in there in one of those photos. Can you guess which one I am? And yeah, so I thought I'd just arrange them so it looks like my lady is gazing over towards the photos on the right hand side. I've added in a couple of bits of old papers as well to fill out the page, and I'm just using this brown paper tape to glue them together, to hold them together I should say. Then I'll just flip them over and put some glue on the back and paste them all down, adhere them to the page. Once I've done that, I'll add a bit of, I think I use ink or maybe coffee, I can't remember, and just grunge everything up a little bit. That glue that I just used then is just run-of-the-mill bog standard PVA glue. Works perfectly for this. So bedding that down onto that other page, and then I'm using a dauber with a bit of ink on it, so it's probably a mixture of vintage photo and frayed burlap and what's the other one I use? Brush corduroy, all mixed together on that, I would imagine. I decided that I wanted to grunge the paper up a little bit more, so I'm using some walnut stain, that one, to go over the papers and around the edge of the image. And I do actually get the walnut stain, no, ground espresso stain spray, and put some of that around as well. That's that one there. You can't use this without getting it all over your hands. The pump wouldn't work on it either, the spray, so it's a bit blocked up. Yeah, so I just use the applicator, the spray thingamajig to tube to get some on the page and then spread it around a bit. I just wanted to grunge and darken this a fair bit more than it was. So yeah, so this colour works really well for that sort of thing. It just seemed to have some big white areas in it to me, so I wanted to darken them. So, is everyone playing along? Are you doing your own stuff, or what are you doing? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to hear whether you're playing with me or whether you're just going to do it quietly, not tell me about it. But yeah, I certainly enjoyed doing this one, although it's sort of junk journal-y, isn't it? But it's, I don't know, it's art journal, junk journal. I'll take advantage of the lid having some ink inside it and stamped a couple of impressions on the page. And I do believe I go over to where the photos are and put some of that ink around there at some point. So this one I actually did over 2 days because it was very wet. I found drying it, with the hairdryer, I wasn't really getting it as dry as I wanted it to be or needed it to be. So I left it overnight and then came back and attacked it again, as you do. Yeah, so this is that walnuts. Yeah, that was walnut stain. I'm getting mixed up with my colours now. Walnut stain or ground espresso, one or the other. Probably the both of them. I've got my little script stamp. I'll pop a couple of little faint stamps in there. This is one of my favourite. I think it was the very first script stamp that I ever bought. I've got a bit of this unbleached titanium acrylic paint here. I just want to pop some little smudges in here and there. I didn't want to use white. I wanted to keep it more, you know, neutrally antique-y, old looking. So I thought this was a good colour just to pop in different spots. So this one is pretty much done now. I'm not sure what else I do to it. A little bit of stabilo around the focal image by the look of it. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have a go at either doing something like this or you do your own thing. As I said, you do you, as Mr. Holtz would say. And thanks for watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're up to, whether you like this or not. And I'll see you in another video very shortly. So the next one coming up is Stormy. So till then, happy crafting, stay safe, hugs and cheers from Australia. Hooroo!